His marathon murder trial is finally over today. Judge Thokozile Masipa will seal the Paralympian's fate when he takes the podium in the North Gauteng High Court in Pretoria in about 20 minutes' time. Pistorius has been found guilty of culpable homicide of model and law graduate Reeva Steenkamp, but not guilty of her murder. Pistorius had claimed he thought there was a burglar in his toilet when he fired 4 shots through the locked door in the early hours of 14 February last year, killing her. He was also found guilty of discharging a firearm in public when he shot from his friend Darren Fresco's Glock pistol under a table at Tasha's restaurant in Melrose Arch in Johannesburg in January of last year. On this crucial day for Pistorius, we are joined by SABC reporter Griselda Lewis, live outside the North Gauteng High Court. Very good morning to you, Griselda. It looks a hive of activity there.
Well, certainly, Eben, a very good morning to you. The pictures that you are seeing right now are live outside the North Gauteng High Court as the hundreds of media wait for Oscar Pistorius to arrive. He's running a little bit late today. He usually arrives here shortly after 9 o'clock. We're expecting him to arrive here at the North Gauteng High Court to hear his fate any minute now. I tell you, we're expecting quite a media scrum outside the court today as the camera men and women try to get the best shot on the day that Oscar Pistorius will hear whether he will go to jail for shooting and killing Reeva Steenkamp, or whether he'll receive a suspended sentence, whether he'll receive a fine, or even correctional supervision. I see there is a car that is pulling up towards the North Gauteng High Court at the moment. I'm going to ask our camera person, Mike, to rather just pan towards that direction. It looks like Oscar Pistorius is arriving here at the moment. There's a white SUV that we are monitoring very closely there. With the media scrum that I am seeing at the moment, Eben, I do believe that is indeed Oscar Pistorius, who should be emerging from, indeed it is, Oscar Pistorius arriving on the day that he will hear his fate, the day that Judge Thokozile Masipa will hand down the sentence in this matter. And certainly it's going to be a very difficult day for Oscar Pistorius, his family, and equally so for the Steenkamp family, who this morning, when they arrived at court, were basically saying to us that they are fine. Kim Martin, I managed to speak to her very briefly this morning. She said she was doing fine. We saw June and Barry Steenkamp as well, the parents of Reeva Steenkamp, who also arrived here at court. But there are supporters of Oscar Pistorius as well that are here, some bringing flowers and also some shackles for Oscar Pistorius as well. And certainly what we're expecting at 9:30 today is, after 18 months of a case that has both hogged the local and international headlines, would it either be the state or the defense that has managed to convince this court if Oscar Pistorius should go to jail or if he should get correctional supervision? You'd recall that the state is calling for a 10-year sentence, while the defense believes that Oscar Pistorius, there should be other correctional matters, or rather other correctional means for him to pay for what he has done. But for now, I'm going to cross to my colleague Patricia Fasachi, who is inside the court. She'll tell us what's happening there. Patricia?
Thank you, Griselda. I'm right here outside court, and the Paralympian just walked in under high security, being escorted by members of the SABC. He looked very calm, walking very fast, keeping straight face in front of him as he swiftly made his way into court, of course, as he will be hearing his destiny shortly from Judge Thokozile Masipa, who will decide how exactly the Paralympian will be spending his future and exactly where. Back to you, Griselda.
Well, thank you very much there to my colleague Patricia Fasachi, who was inside court there, Oscar Pistorius entering to hear his fate. Eben.
Griselda, it's been a long road for you and Oscar. You've been on this case since day one, really. What is your expectation today?
Well, yeah, but I'm really struggling to hear you at this time. If you could kindly repeat that question.
I'm just asking, a long journey that you've made with Oscar in this case, you know it quite intimately. What is your expectation of today?
Well, even the law experts that we've spoken to generally say that, the pressure is on Judge Thokozile Masipa on the basis that, first of all, there is societal pressure. You heard the state say that society expects Oscar Pistorius to do the time that is equivalent to the crime that he has committed. And certainly, Judge Thokozile Masipa, at the end of the day, would need to look at what the law says relating to culpable homicide. You remember during those closing arguments and also during the mitigation and aggravation of sentence, we really saw the defense, first of all, try to paint a picture that the correctional facilities in South Africa are not adequate enough to deal with people with disabilities. But of course, that was a last-minute come in from the state there, where we saw them bring in the acting commissioner of correctional services, and him basically saying no, that correctional facilities are adequate enough to deal with or to house people with disabilities like Oscar Pistorius. And that was a last-minute a push to try and get Judge Thokozile Masipa to either go the defense's way or the state's way. And certainly this morning it's very difficult to tell. I certainly would not want to speculate. It would be very irresponsible on my part, but the various options, of course, would include perhaps imprisonment, some form of imprisonment for Oscar Pistorius. If that does not happen, there could be a suspended sentence for Oscar Pistorius. Even a fine or even correctional supervision is something that we've heard about several times during the closing arguments in this matter. So we'll only know at 9:30 exactly what Judge Thokozile Masipa believes is the sentence that should be meted out against the Paralympian.
Griselda, the South African justice system has been under the spotlight during this trial. The judgment of Thokozile Masipa, the judge in this case today, how important will it be if we look at whether South African justice has passed the test?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, but from day one, South Africa's justice system has been under the spotlight, of course, going back to the fact that the world's media is here. This is being beamed around the world. I know several networks around the world will be taking the sentencing live, beaming from around the world. But certainly, justice from all the law experts we've spoken to, and even for the layman on the street, justice needs to be seen to be done in this matter. Speculation, of course, that people will have. Several of the people on the streets of Pretoria that we've spoken to are saying that while the world is watching, South Africa has one of the most liberal constitutions in the world. That needs to be demonstrated in this matter, in that the justice system needs to be seen to be harsh on persons who are involved in any form of abuse against women and children, for this matter. That also brings that into the spotlight, the abuse of women and children. But certainly the justice system under the spotlight, in that everybody's looking to see what this court will find. You'd recall during the bail application, the ANC Women's League had been screaming that Oscar Pistorius was receiving preferential treatment at the Brooklyn police station. And certainly here today, a lot of scrutiny will go into, irrespective of what that decision is. If Oscar Pistorius does spend some time in jail, a lot of the focus will shift to South Africa's prison system. Where will Oscar Pistorius be housed? And if he is under house arrest or he does do community service, does that mean that Oscar Pistorius will go back to the huge house that he's been living in all along, belonging to Arnold and Louis Pistorius? So certainly, a lot is at stake here for South Africa's justice system. But most importantly, justice needs to be seen to be done in this matter. And certainly, a lot of focus has been on the fact that Oscar Pistorius will know his fate this morning. But we shouldn't forget as well that it is the Steenkamps who lost a daughter as well, and that significant focus needs to be put on them and what it is they will say of the justice system today, and of course South Africans in general, society. We heard Gerrie Nel speak about that extensively when he said to Judge Thokozile Masipa that society needs to know that they can count on the courts if such serious crimes are committed in this country, that the court will do the right thing. So many aspects of this case which will take center stage today. And of course, even after that sentence has been meted out against Oscar Pistorius.
Griselda, quickly, in 10 seconds, how long are we expected to be in court today?
I'm going to speculate on this one, Eben, but I'm hearing about an hour or shortly after, or just slightly over an hour. But of course, we'll have to see how thick that sentence document is that Judge Thokozile Masipa will bring into this court come 9:30.
Thank you very much, Griselda Lewis, as always, outside the North Gauteng High Court, keeping us updated on the sensational Oscar Pistorius trial. We'll be there live shortly after 9:30 in about 15 minutes' time. Don't go away. We've got another trial